Now that we've built the biggest storage system in Minecraft One Block, a fact that's kind of hard to check, and I could be wrong, we can finally build the mega base that I spent 700 hours designing. We're recreating Castle in the Sky. It's a really good Studio Ghibli movie if you haven't seen it. If you haven't, don't stress. The only context you need is it's a giant flying castle that looks like this. And we're going to build it big. And I mean from the void all the way up to the build height limit, over 1 million blocks type big. All starting from this one block. We're going to break it up into 3 phases. Phase 1 is Big Dome, pretty self-explanatory, it's the thing at the bottom. Phase 2 is the giant walls that surround it, and then Phase 3 is the top. The gardens, including the mega tree, lots of buildings with custom interiors, an underwater city slash village thing, some more flying cities, a throne room, just a lot of stuff. Step 1, we're going to need a lot of materials. Primarily, we need blackstone for this phase, about 150,000 blackstone. Mining that manually from the nether, let alone from the one block, would take a really long time. So I'm thinking we build a gold farm into a piglin bartering farm that gives us blackstone while I'm AFK. Let's go! Apparently Nembum is the goat, so we're building his gold farm using Latmatica, which basically just puts a blueprint in the world for you to follow, so you don't mess it up. And I built it on stream, so I probably would've. Oh, and if you're wondering how this farm works, by the way, pigmen are the only things that can spawn on all 17 of these levels, and they have a burning hatred for innocent turtle eggs. No idea why. So they try and get to them, fall down this hole, and then drop us gold. Okay, now we just need to somehow get piglins on the nether roof. I know there's almost definitely better ways of doing it, but I just spawned them in on this platform and then walked them all over one at a time until I had like 60 piglins. Yeah, please take this gold. And get in the hole. Get bubbly. Yeah, so I got way too many. I figured if I just got a heap, they'd be able to keep up with the gold farm, and that's ideal. And I kind of forgot about the insane amount of items they give you. Hoppers can't keep up with 60 piglins. So we're building a brand new design from Logical Geekaway. Now all the piglins live happily in one small hole all together. Forever. It's a very simple trade offer. We give them gold nuggies from the extinction level event that's happening above them. They give us hundreds of thousands of blackstone, plus also quartz, because we're going to need a lot of that later, plus gravel, because that means we can duplicate our dirt, very helpful for one block, and then like nether brick, leather, obsidian. Everything else, trash, let it burn. Next, sea lanterns. Yep, I spent 9 hours mining the one block solely for sea lanterns for the storage system, and I'm back again. It's just this, just hours of this. In this one block, the whole world is just set to a plains biome as far as you fly out. So you can't just build a farm out in the void where a monument would be for this particular seed. Trust me, I've tried. So we're just stuck here. Lovely. That is about 300 lanterns for about 4.5 hours of my life. And that's just phase 1. The base of the dome has a giant laser that kind of, well, it rains fire. While it's charging though, it makes a laser ring around some spikes. We're going to build that. So we need a bunch of orange wool. We also need black dye for the concrete base. We can't make a squid farm because, again, the giant void of nothingness, that's considered a plains biome. So instead, we're going to build a wither rose farm. All we need is some wither skulls, which I can't say I was super careful about collecting. I kind of got triple comboed and then instantly lost all of my hand-eye coordination I've ever had since birth. And then, yeah, I got down to 1.5 hearts. I then immediately went back because I want the 6th spell. Instantly got snapped, falls down. This guy wants a hug. Who am I dying? No. Well, that's my first death since the first episode. That's okay, alas. This original version of One Block doesn't actually have hardcore, and it's honestly kind of nice just not caring as much for a change and just going all in whenever I feel like it, because it doesn't matter as much. Now for the rest of the farm, all we need is some snow, which we already have, and a stack of pumpkins. Oh, I get to use my little launch pad for the first time. So this should... Ah! What the hell is that? Imagine if I didn't have an elytra on, we'd be so dead and all our stuff would be in the void. I didn't realize they were all going through the end portal. That's so funny. Get absolutely rocked, idiots. Anyways, the wither rose farm. What we're going to do is spawn trap the wither under the portal and then feed them endless snow golems. And then they drop the wither roses, which feels completely fine. Then you just drop down, grab the wither roses as many times as you need, and then just kill the wither when you're done. Day 1000, let's go. To celebrate, I'm going to leave this cake here and have a slice every 1000 days. I have a strong feeling we'll be back before the end of this video. Yeah, so it's been a week since that last clip. I have played another 300 Minecraft days just grinding Blackstone. The gold farm is great, and I'm pretty sure it's the fastest there is currently. It's just 150,000 Blackstone is a lot of Blackstone. So after AFKing for like 24 hours and it's still not even being close, I kind of got bored and then spent 12 hours just raiding bastions and just the nether in general for a bunch of gold and also loot because I was bored. Special mention to that one time my game crashed and I lost a whole shulker of gold blocks. It's like 2 hours in the nether, god. Actual pain. I'm still salty about it. It was still taking forever though, so whenever I was at my PC, I manually started mining Blackstone with a haste 2 beacon, and whenever I was AFK, I just let the farm run. Finally, after mining 70,000, which is basically half the Blackstone myself, we had all of it. So much Blackstone that it took me well over an hour to craft it all into the right kind of Blackstone and transport it back into the overworld. Finally, 500 days into this video, we can start building phase 1, the dome. So many mobs. Yo, there's a slime? I thought they could only spawn in swamps. So this is a plains biome. Ten-and-a-half-hour dome. I lost. There's no shot. I ran out with 4 left. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's so sick. Oh no. Oh no. I ran out of rockets. I don't have my ender chest on me. This is savable. I can land. But I now just have to climb to the top. I'm an idiot. At least we didn't die in the void. Could you imagine if I flew far enough out that we were going to die in the void with all my netherite gear? I'd actually cry. In phase 2, we're going to need a lot of materials. For comparison, phase 1, the dome, has just over 100,000 blocks. Phase 2 has 500,000. There's a bunch of just random materials, like a couple stacks of jack-o'-lanterns, some end rods, 5 stacks of gold blocks, just a lot of random things. So we're just going to focus on the big ones. The giant castle walls have a lot of stone, believe it or not, but it's not just going to be plain stone. We're doing a gradient, starting from smooth basalt to cobble, andesite, stone, mossy cobble, and then moss along the top. It also has a bunch of blackstone detailing, but we've already collected a lifetime supply of that in phase 1, so we're good on that front. Starting with smooth basalt, you can actually make a basalt generator with the same setup as a stone generator. You just switch the water for ice. So I figured we'd build it next to the gold farm in the nether. That way, while I was AFKing for the blackstone originally, we could also get all our basalt needs at the same time. Now we're just going to cart 20 shulkers of it back to the overworld and then slowly feed it to our super smelter. Which, by the way, I've had the bamboo farm running non-stop since episode 1 for our fuel source. This annihilated almost all of our supply. I might need another fuel source. Nah, that's the next generation's problem. Next we need some stone. Well, actually, some might be understating it. But we need 111,000 or 71 shulkers of stone. Luckily, we already have a stone generator, so it's just a lot of this. I also broke like 2 or 3 netherite pickaxes while I just wasn't paying attention. So instead of doing the same thing to get all 165,000 cobblestone we need for this build as well, we're going to build a much faster, fully automatic TNT blast chamber cobble generator. Video by Shulkercraft in the description. It's the first time I've actually ever built a TNT duper before, so that's going to be my excuse for why I blew it up like 4 times. But eventually, when I worked out the redstone to TNT timing and stopped blowing it up, the farm was great. We actually got all the cobble we need in like 2 or 3 hours, which is kind of crazy. Next though, we need a very chill 60,000 andesite. To get that from the one block would honestly probably take me a month by itself. So, you know how I said originally that we're going to need a lot of quartz later? Because we're going to need a lot of that later. Yeah, well, it's later. Turns out if you combine cobblestone with quartz in a crafting table, you get diorite. You chuck that diorite back in with more cobble, bam. andesite. That's actually half the reason why we built the gold farm. So after a solid many hours later, we got 36 shulkers of andesite. At least the last of the 2 blocks of the gradient, moss and mossy cobble, are a walk in the park relatively to the rest. We already have an epic moss farm, so I was already just letting that run in the background until we had enough for 30,000 each, which brings us to the final big 3 materials we need for phase 2. First, you probably guessed it, the sea lanterns are back. We need another 30 stacks. But with an average of 1 stack per hour from the one block, I kind of just refuse to accept that another 30 hours of my life would be sacrificed to sea lanterns. So I looked further into a suggestion I got in one of my comments from last episode, saying you could 1-tick the one block. I'll be honest, I had no idea what that meant originally. I'm not a redstone guy at all, but I looked into it. Ilmango has a really good video explaining it properly, but essentially it's using the game's timing mechanics with the redstone to trick pistons into moving insanely fast. And a bunch of people in different videos have used it to feed the one block into a TNT blast chamber to automatically farm the one block. It's genius. After a lot of testing, which I'll save you from, there's only 2 main problems left. I'm on the original one block map, which includes raids, basically a bunch of mobs spawn in at once on the one block, but they destroy a 5x5x5 area around the one block, which instantly breaks any 0-tick system I tried setting up. And then on top of that, pistons can't push obsidian or chests, which spawn a lot on the one block, so I have to be there manually to break those so the system keeps going. But aside from that, this is an absolute win. It cut down a 30-hour task to just 8 hours, which is still a really long time just for sea lanterns, but it's considerably better. At the same time as all that, I was trading with the villagers pretty much every day because we needed 2,000 lapis blocks for a custom roof design I had. I don't know why I choose really difficult materials to build out of, but I don't know, hopefully it's worth it. Finally, we need about 16 shulkers of grass blocks, which is where the gold farm comes in clutch again, because 2 dirt and 2 gravel in a crafting table makes 4 coarse dirt. Then if you right click coarse dirt with a shovel, it makes it into a path block, then break that and you get regular dirt back again. It's honestly a bit of a process, particularly if you need 20,000 of it, but you're essentially duplicating your dirt at the cost of gravel, which we have from the gold farm. The only problem is where to place that much dirt. If it's in the overworld, it'll just make a giant mob farm again. So initially I went with another roof. Big mistake, non-stop gas blowing up my dirt, skeletons harassing me. It was a mess. Then I realized I was being an idiot. I made this elaborate 0-tick setup for the one block, which with a little customization I could use as my new dirt converter. I had a dispenser feeding me all the coarse dirt from my shulkers, coarse dirt in the offhand, shovel in the other. I lined it up perfectly, so as I placed the coarse dirt, the shovel instantly turned it into a path block, and the 0-tick pistons pushed it along underneath another block, which turns it back into regular dirt apparently, and then into the TNT collection chamber. Maximum efficiency. It was beautiful. Yeah, then I just had to place all 15 shulkers of the dirt on the nether roof, spread some grass around with some lanterns, because apparently it doesn't actually spread unless there's light, which was all super chill, only took many hours, like 7 hours if I had to guess. Barely got harassed by hoglins at all, to be honest. Also, apparently, baby piglins can stack up and ride baby hoglins. Just a side note, that was a crazy find. And that is over 180 shulkers worth of materials. And this isn't even all of it. This is like all the andesite. We've got blackstone, we've got so much dirt, we've got smooth basalt, which we're actually gonna just yoink a couple of these because that's what we need to start with. Just random bits and bobs of bits. And then over here are the big ones. We've got cobble in this one, we got stone in this, and we got mossy cobble in this. This looks like a lot of stuff. I ran out of shulkers. It's about, I think, 1/5 of the amount of cobble, stone, and mossy cobble that we actually need. The rest of it is actually just in the storage system itself, which is obnoxious. Oh yeah, also it's day 1,800, which means this video is 1,000 days in. Anyways, let's start phase 2, the walls. that is one thick wall. There's also more problem, don't worry about it. But you might have noticed the wall kind of looks jank in some spots, mostly this little like weird fringe line thing it's got going on. Yeah, that's because next we're building a giant custom roof design that connects to that weird fringe line. So those will be like hanging down from the roof. This center section is also all custom, aside from the very obvious giant Minecraft base. This area in the movie is just like a ton of little archways that make a bunch of tunnels, but they don't actually show in the movie. So instead, I kept the archways and just made them like 20 times bigger so they open up into our base. And the roof is going to enclose our base so that the more movie accurate stuff sits on top and then also around it. The roof design is inspired by this being the main character and her crystal necklace. The center of the roof is going to be the crystal, and then the pattern around the outside isn't trying to replicate the cool shining light that comes out of it, but I was going for the same general vibe. That is, ooh, I rate it. That is the final design for F1. You can't actually even see the whole thing, it's that big. That's like 100 blocks in the air and we still can't even see it all in one frame. Dude, from down here, it looks insane. We're definitely not supposed to see this roof from above, but it does look kind of funny, the inverse side of it. That's crazy. It's huge. Speaking of huge, that could probably go a few different directions, but the outer walls are way bigger. From where the smooth basalt starts is the bottom of the wall design, because I actually designed the outer walls first, and then the center bit is just the wall design stacked on top of some arches that I made. So way out here in the void, we're going to have the legit Castle in the Sky mega walls that go all the way around, each a little lower than the ones behind it, like in the movie they tear upwards. Some Enderman has yoinked blocks from there. Look at the thieves! Absolute thieves. I can't believe they've done this. By the way, this is already by far the biggest base I've ever built in Minecraft and is already bigger than most mega bases in general. It's 210 blocks tall, literally the edge of the void at -64, all the way up to 154, and is about 200,000 to 300,000 blocks. And we're not even halfway. So yeah, let's build some more walls. That's sunset on day 1999. Quick little schlep. And that is day 2000. We've now been building this for 1,200 days. That is insane. Which means it's time for a little snack break. I did say I had a feeling I'd be back here before the end of this video. Scrumptious. Alright, now back to building. Ah. Not even close. They're finally done. That is easily the biggest project we've done so far, even with like the huge help of Lightmatica from from the towers to here took over 50 hours. I actually ran out of the usual things that I watch on my other monitor, so I started watching One Piece because my chat's been suggesting it for a couple years now. From this alone, I'm now 200 episodes in. Banger show, by the way. Okay, now that I've stalled enough to show off the walls properly, we're now in the end game. Phase 3, which, like I said, includes the mega tree, big buildings with custom interiors, as well as movie-accurate interiors, anything that they actually show in the movie, like the throne room, an underwater city/village thing, and then some more floating cities, just for a little extra spice. Again, no surprise, we need a lot of materials. We'll start with the buildings, because one of the biggest things we need is copper for all the roofs. We need a very reasonable 40,000. Yeah, that's not ingots, by the way. That's 40,000 copper blocks, which would be 360,000 ingots. Even with a good copper farm, that would take an absurd amount of time, even on the scale of everything in this video already taking forever. But this little update, known as 1.21, just came out. And yes, I know that will date how long this video has taken me, because the update came out in June. But anyway, it includes the trial chambers, which do spawn in plains biomes, so we can find them out in the void. And look at all those copper blocks. I'm going to absolutely decimate all the trial chambers in this world. Wait, this is Deep Slate. Yo, first Deep Slate in the world? I didn't even realize this was in here. Also with the update, IJAMinecraft, the original One Block creator, randomly came back and dropped the first update to the mod since 1.16, which is huge. So now, not only can we find the trial chambers out in the void, we can get majority of the items and mobs we've been missing from the One Block now. I'm talking axolotls, wardens, frogs, which also means frogalites, which I'll be honest is a little late for that one at this point. But hey, next project we'll have them. We also have the crafter, which will upgrade our gold farm. Those cherry biome pink petals and the spore blossoms are apparently in there, which will help a lot with matching the garden vibes to the movie. Oh yeah, in the middle of me just farming a couple blocks, I logged in one time and it was just void. Just perpetually falling. I couldn't even fly. It was just entirely bugged out. And I'm at y = -2,300 somehow. But I just logged out, restarted Minecraft, and we're good apparently. But that was terrifying. Next materials for the buildings though, the walls are a gradient, starting with stone at the bottom, then andesite, then diorite, wool, and snow. We already got the first two from the last stage, and diorite is literally made to craft andesite, so that was pretty easy. The wool, however, we need 11,000. Don't ask me why I didn't make an automatic sheep farm and just let it run in the background, because I don't know. They're not even hard to make. I've literally made them before. But yeah, I did it manually for some reason. And the last block we need is snow. Incredibly easy. If you haven't farmed it before, you just need 2 snow blocks and 1 carved pumpkin to make a snow golem. And if you trap it, you can just infinitely farm the snow that spawns underneath itself. It takes a bit to craft it all into blocks, but compared to the rest, easy street. The buildings also have bricks, granite, and bone blocks on the outside, all of which pretty simple to get, but you'd be surprised how many double chests of bones it took to craft 8,000 bone blocks. Like, I don't actually know the math, but it was a lot. As for the interiors of the buildings, naturally there is a ton of different blocks just everywhere, but for the big main ones, we need a couple shulkers of glass and bookshelves, which is where our librarians save us a lot of time. We need a red and white concrete, and 2,400 smithing tables. Yeah, I can't say I've ever made more than like 3 or 4 of those in one world, but turns out they have a red pattern underneath, which makes a pretty cool roof design. And now for the problem child, the garden. Yeah, it's huge. It's gonna look awesome, and I'm very keen to build it, don't get me wrong. But yeah, we need thousands upon thousands of basically every wood type, and most need each block type that is crafted from that wood. I'm talking wood, logs, stripped, planks, stairs, slabs, a shulker of trapdoors, like why, fences, gates, literally all of it. Because you might have gathered, this garden has a lot of trees, and then it also has a mega tree, which realistically should be its own YouTube video because it is that big. It includes 33,000 jungle wood, not logs, wood, which essentially means I need 44,000 logs to craft that many. But also trees have leaves, believe it or not. So we also need oak and jungle leaves, 50,000 of them each. Which I have actually been doing in the background since I started the project, knowing it was going to be one of the slowest materials to gather. So I don't actually know the exact amount of time it took, but it's at least 20, probably over 30 hours. Now you're probably wondering at this point, why did he farm that manually? Surely he knows tree farms exist. I do actually. The problem is jungle trees don't like dropping saplings, and the whole different size tree thing kind of messes up most auto tree farms. And for the leaves, the farms just don't actually really exist for jungle trees, or at least they don't really save you much time, especially considering how expensive the farms are in One Block. So yeah, I farmed it manually. Well, that took a lot of hours, but that should be everything. All of these blue shulkers all the way down filled with jungle logs, this row all filled with jungle logs, and then this entire row filled with jungle leaves. And believe it or not, that's actually not all of it, because if we go back to the overworld real quick, oak leaves all the way up to the top, and actually the second row, every single one, 14 double chests of oak leaves, and then same with the jungle leaves all the way up, filled. And if we come back over here to where our jungle wood is usually, all filled with jungle logs. So much jungle logs, so many jungle leaves, so many oak leaves. Too many. Oh, and I have been avoiding dealing with the copper until now. I think I demolished like 6 or 7 trial chambers over a few days, and I just took everything. So there's just a ton of oxidized copper when we mostly need normal copper blocks and like 3 shulkers of exposed copper, which is where the 0-tick system comes in clutch again. It took 3.5 hours to convert like 4 or 5 shulkers that we needed. You know how I said I was watching One Piece? Yeah, I'm up to episode 380 now. But imagine if I didn't have the 0-tick system. Like, that would have taken just so much longer. And that's not even the end of it. I still need to wax all the copper. Which, if you've been dying a little inside each time I didn't use an automatic farm, this time I thought ahead. Because I did know I was going to have to wax 40,000 copper eventually, which means I needed 40,000 honeycomb from the bees. So way back in the first stream of the project, we built a bee farm to breed the 2 bees I've had since episode 1, which admittedly might have been the ugliest thing I've ever constructed in Minecraft, but I did fix it a couple days later, made it way more efficient, and they've just been working away in the background the whole time. And they've actually smashed it. We have way more than 40,000 now. So after farming shulkers in the end, again, for a few hours, we have enough of everything. We have filled 260 shulkers. Insane. Hi, yeah, future me here real quick. Didn't realize it at the time, but the schematic I was using for phase 3 was actually missing the floating islands and the movie accurate interiors from the material list, and I don't notice until later. So this wasn't even close to everything. I think we start with the underwater city village thing. So for context, in the movie when they make it to the castle in the sky, they land on this little pillar and they're greeted by a golem that they then follow through into the mega tree in the center. They walk across this little bridge to this big open garden that's actually raised even higher than our center wall is currently. And as they're walking down the pass, they notice little animals jumping into the water. They run over to look and it just goes down forever into a completely submerged city with like fish swimming through it. We're going to build that inside this wall. It's going to be mostly custom in there. One, because the scale is definitely some movie magic. It won't convert to Minecraft even at this size. And 2, because we only get one shot of it. But I think we can make a solid Minecraft equivalent. This is the room we've got to work with. So sticking with the theme of that one shot, I'm not going to build the houses in the center like you would a normal village. We're going to build them into the walls, so they're mostly facades. And then the center section is going to be more open like it is in the movie. And we'll have a bunch of tropical fish in there. Because yeah, I've been collecting them. I don't know if you guys have ever tried filling a space like this with water, but it takes way longer than I expected. Granted, most of it's because it's a weird shape and I wanted it all to be source blocks, which takes a lot of kelp, and I was already out of bone meal before this because of the bone blocks. So yeah, the water took me 7.5 hours. So yeah, anyways, now all we need is the final details. A few more moss blocks here and there, some grass, some coral, and now just the fish. Look at it, it's cute. I was actually going to try and get an axolotl from the One Block to put in here. Then I remembered they eat tropical fish. That would have eaten my entire collection. Alright, with the big fish tank done, for our next big project, I'm thinking the buildings make the most sense, so we can build the gardens around them. I'm going to start with a couple of the smaller ones that sit above the water city on stream. No idea how long these will take, like most things in this build, I'll be honest. But I'm going to start with the smaller ones because we have 24 buildings total, and majority of them are twice as tall as these. You also might be like, ew, why diorite? Who builds with diorite? Yeah, it's not exactly common, but the color changes in the movie depending on what scene you're looking at. like the color of the buildings, which is kind of funny, but also quite difficult when you're trying to build semi-accurate. I'm not going for like, you know, perfect or anything. We are building it in Minecraft, but trying to keep the general vibe. Kind of difficult. In some of the scenes, it's more of a like brown color, and then some it's more of a white. I went with a white one mostly because there's more block choices in Minecraft for white blocks, so you could make more of a gradient look nicer. But yeah, the colors are just a little weird, so it's kind of hard to match. It fits so much nicer on these arches. The arches look kind of weird because I built the leaves up first, and they were kind of just sticking up leaves, and it made no sense. So it's nice that the buildings are in there now. Which is also like a big part of the reason why I was like, we'll build the buildings first, even though they'll be floating for a little while, and then we'll build the gardens up around them, because it looked really jank having some of the aspects of the garden built and the buildings not yet. Bam, and then final block cuts off the beacon. Done! Bam! Those are the first 3 buildings. So you can see where like the moss drapes down, the exposed copper, supposed to give it like that aged... No, it's not quite dilapidated. You know, the whole vibe of the place is it's, you know, falling apart, broken. It's been abandoned for 100+ years, but I rate it. I really like this sweeping through here. I think that looks really cool, particularly with like the leaves on the edge. The exposed copper, dude, I love exposed copper. Copper having like naturally aging in the game mechanic is such a cool block. And there is a hole. Why is there a hole? Here you have a pumpkin. That's mostly how this place is spawn-proof, by the way, or at least it will eventually be spawn-proof. There's no torches anywhere, it's just a ton of jack-o'-lanterns hidden underneath moss carpets. Alright, first 3 buildings down, just 21 considerably larger buildings to go. But if I learned anything about saving time from those thick, beautiful walls down there, the strat is building layer by layer if you do on a gradient. So rather than building each building separately and going one by one, I'll build them all at the same time in a giant loop thing. So I have mostly 1 or 2 materials on me, and I just slowly go up layer by layer of the gradient. Trust me, it saves so much time. Alright, let's build it. Those are some big buildings. Slight problem, they do be looking kind of floating and also kind of empty at the moment though. So yeah, we should probably fix that. First, we're going to start with a garden to fix the whole floating situation. It is going to be absolutely huge and mostly custom. That is because this side here is pretty much the only spot that they properly show off the garden. So I built this area as accurately as possible with the archways, the rivers, the paths, the pillars, everything. Pretty much the only thing I've added on this side is the few extra trees. Whereas this whole side here isn't actually shown off at all, so we pretty much just have free room to make it entirely custom. Now if you've seen the movie, you know this place is supposed to be abandoned for like 100+ years, but this mega base has me and then also a ton of villages. So we're going to repopulate a lot of these buildings with our different villages we have, and then also reflect that in the garden by, you know, adding some farms and whatnot. Make it look more lived in. Starting with this side here, just below our landing pad up there, we're going to have one big canal that runs through the entire thing. We do actually see this area in the big cinematic shot that I showed earlier, but it's a bunch of little perfectly straight canals that curve around with the wall that are not only super hard to recreate in Minecraft, but I also have considerably less room down here because I prioritize the flooded city. So we have a little less room, but also, honestly, in terms of Minecraft, I think one big canal looks nicer anyway. Around the corner here, I'm going to build a little house for just a few of our farmers, not all of them. Mostly because I want to move our animals up here into a pen. So one, they have somewhere to live, and also so they don't just casually walk off the side of the wall into the void. But also by having them up here, the place seems more alive, and this looks like a cute little corner for them to live. And that guy's immediately staring at the corner. Okay, built to this whole pen, but no, I guess not. Don't get in the pen. No, why are you getting in the pen? You can't get out now. Yeah, dealing with mobs, always a great time. Thankfully, we didn't lose any in the void this time around. And no villagers just decided to ditch their safe new home they built for them to run off with zombies for the entire night. Yeah, I should have just left him, to be honest. On the front side, this is where they showed this shot, by the way. We're going to continue the canal, but we have a ton more room to work with on this side. I want a little waterfall coming from up here, kind of imply that the water is coming from the flooded city and just filling all the canals. The moss is very much taking over like majority of the build. It's very overgrown, lots of trees and grass and just piling everywhere. Then from here, I want a mini forest vibe, a bunch of custom trees all super close to each other, and then a cute parrot statue at the back, which I didn't design, by the way. I found it reposted on TikTok, I'm pretty sure, maybe Instagram. But if you know the original creator, let me know in the comments and I'll put them in the description. I've got a couple of them. I just changed the block palette to match a more stone statue vibe, where the originals were all very colorful. And then naturally, we're going to bring up the parrots here so they just stop living randomly on this platform. Cute little forest, wholesome vibes. Next, these couple buildings here will be our villagers' new homes, or at least probably half of them. So we're going to have the main crop farms out front so they can walk around out here, do their little farming thing, and actually make this place seem alive. I'll leave the very exciting task of bringing the villagers up here until I build their actual home. I'm going to procrastinate doing that as long as possible. Now this little section here, I'm going to build a little pond-esque thing with the sole intention of filling it with axolotls, which I don't actually have yet. But since the whole 1.21 update, I can actually get them from the One Block. Apparently, I haven't actually tested that. Also, no idea what phase it's supposed to be in, so just kind of hoping it's one of the early ones. Big go, dude. That's so quick. There's a goat. Hi, goat. Armadillo. I don't have a home for you either, but you can join the new home poll. I'll relocate you guys after, all right? I gotta find an axolotl first. Frog. New friend. Come. Where the hell is my goat, and why is that dangling? We lost our goat. He jumped off the edge. But hey, we got a frog, so that's cool. Axolotl and a giant thingo. Get out of the way, damn particles. Yoink. The cutest of predators. Quick, get away from the guardian. Yo! Look at it. Okay, now we just need to find another one. So it's got a friend. Another one! And bam. Now, I definitely didn't yoink these from the flooded city, just to breed you guys. Ah, look at it. It's a smaller kid. I really want to get all the different colors, but that did just take me like 2 hours, so I should probably hold off for another time. But to be fair, we didn't just get axolotls in 2 hours. We got all of this new stuff, spore blossoms, more fish, we got torch flowers. Oh, and we got frog lights. Very keen to put those in the next project. If only we had them for this project. We also have many, many frogs down there. 2 of each kind at least, and a ton of orange ones. And goats. And our final spot is right here, or at least the final spot of the outside garden is right here. We're gonna make a little campsite. One, because, well, it seems fun, but also I imagine the main 2 characters could have pulled this together for night 1, camping under the stars, and also underneath a big custom cherry tree, the only one in the entire castle, at least that I've designed so far. Maybe we'll add another one, I don't know. But yeah, that's our campsite garden, completely done. I really like it. I like the vibes. It's very cozy. I like the tree with the particles from the pink petals, and the spore blossom sometimes has green particles. And I also really like these pink petals. I didn't know that they plant in like groups of 4, so you can make little patterns on the ground. I rate that highly. But yeah, I like it. It's very vibes. Next though, I'm thinking the interiors, because I want to keep the giant center garden with a huge mega tree in the center until last, because I think that'll really tie it all together nicely. It'll be a bit random, but we're going to start with these 2 interiors first and then work our way all the way back around to the front. Like I said earlier, they're custom because you don't actually see inside them in the movie. So the first few are going to be the new homes for our different villager types, starting with the Iron Boys, the Weaponsmiths, the Toolsmiths, and the Armorers. Nice, big open room with all of their job blocks just kind of spread around randomly. Some swords on the walls, naturally, because, Weaponsmiths. And a workbench in the center, which they will definitely use and not just stand on it randomly and look weird. Yeah, look, villagers don't really respect interiors that you build for them, but we'll just go with it. I was going to bring the villagers up with each new interior that we built, but then I realized just around the outside, there's a giant hole that isn't spawn proof yet, which I feel like the villagers just kind of walk out, get stuck, and then we'll never see them again. So I think we wait, build all the interiors, finish up the build so it's actually spawn proof, and then we'll repopulate it. Otherwise, I feel like we're going to lose at least half our villagers. But for our next interior, going in this one here, which is a lot shorter than that one, but this one will house all our clerics,
which is definitely going to be one of our most random interiors, if not the most random. Because I was kind of just having fun with random colors, the classic concrete behind the glass effect on the walls, and then even more random, I'm putting a fully stacked netherite set of armor with a wither skull on top in the center of the room. And then around the outside, we're going to have respawn anchors with conduits on top. So it's supposed to look like they're summoning something / creating a new army. I don't know, something super random I just came up with at 2 a.m. It kind of gives like Star Wars Sith base kind of vibes with the walls, and then the roof, also very random, but looks kind of sick. Reminds me of that OG dropper map from like way back when. Apparently I missed a block. Right, that's but I fixed it.
Next, we're building the biggest of libraries for, believe it or not, our librarians. Which, by the way, I psyched myself out of being able to say properly since I said it weird in the last video, but whatever. For the floor, we're reusing the same pattern we used in our storage area, because, well, I like it. And then for the walls, we're using just bookshelves. Just so many bookshelves. Thousands of bookshelves, actually. There's an insane amount. Also going to add a few rows of them through the center with like enchantment tables, cartography tables, anything that just fits the vibe. Plus the usual things they have in libraries, you know, plenty of places to read, a front desk, some hidden books, the usual. The lore in the movie, by the way, this place is very technologically advanced because, you know, they made the whole thing fly. Plus they made an army of golems that one of them can take out a whole normal army. So I feel like it makes sense for them to have a giant library, you know, to store all their knowledge and whatnot.
With all the bookshelves like up in the roof, it kind of reminds me of that library in Avatar: The Last Airbender with that big owl. But they should have owls in this game. You just have them sitting up on the bookshelves up there, just chilling, kind of like the parrots do. Anyways, this is our completely finished library. It's kind of ridiculously huge. I think there's over 2,000 bookshelves in here, plus the new types of bookshelves filled with enchanted books all over the place. There's also plenty of little cute reading nooks and stuff like that. A few little less accessible bookshelves up the top, but you know, this place kind of flies, so I feel like they have the tech to move some bookshelves around. There's also a few of the new paintings dotted around with a few of the OG ones as well, and a fireplace. Don't know if having a fireplace in a room filled with books is a good idea, but hey, we've got one. And then around the back here, there's a little doorway, which is going to lead into our next interior. This one's going to be a little more simple than the giant library we just built though, because this one's for our farmers, and the idea is for them to venture out into the fields out the front and actually like farm the crops, make the place seem more alive and whatnot. So just some beds, some storage, big old table in the middle with of course their job blocks scattered around. I might have to move some composters out the front. I'm not sure how far the villagers stray from their beds or their job blocks, but I want them to move out to the crops, so we'll move some out there if we need to. But again, I'm not moving villagers until we absolutely have to, so I'll work that out at the end. Then the farmers' neighbors are going to be the ones I barely use, to be honest. The fishmen, I don't really end up trading with them at all anymore, so they just kind of exist. But I built this giant canal out the front, so I figured the fishmen would enjoy being near some water with some fish rather than the floating island that they live on with no water and no fish. Another more simple interior just for them to live in, you know, beds, job blocks, storage, a couple tables. This one does have 2 levels though, so I guess the fishmen are rich. And then for our building that is front and center of the entire build, I'm dedicating entirely to our bees. They pumped out tens of thousands, I think like 30,000 honeycomb for us in this cramped little farm. So now they're getting an entire building. Plenty of crops for them, a few trees, and just way more room. And the reason they're actually even enclosed at all is because their AI is really dumb in One Block. They fly straight in the void the second they get the chance. So yeah, they are still kind of trapped, but it's a lot nicer here. Alright, that should be everything. So, wait, let's go in here. Schlep real quick, and then they should all pop out and go crazy. Yote! Look at them all. Wait, they like these flowers? They love... They really like flowering azaleas? Yote, look at them go! They're all up on the roofs. The AI of some animals in this game is so funny. They're all exploring. They're all in and about. They're all flying up. I'm glad I made it. I originally had the roof like here-ish. I'm glad I doubled it and added the platforms. I love it. I love that the bees can fly around and be free and be chill and not be stuck in a farm anymore. I dig it. I love watching them do little spins because they're little derps. Look at that guy. What is he doing? As if his AI doesn't know there's a block platform there. Like, eh.
Next, I do actually have a couple more interiors I want to build. For example, I just realized I never designed one for the stonemasons, which is kind of messed up of me. But first, we're going to take a break to build the more movie-accurate interiors, which, yeah, like I said earlier, I completely missed them in our material gathering because they weren't in the schematic. So I just spent multiple days grinding up the extra items we need for these, as well as the extra floating islands we're going to build around the outside of the castle after this. And yeah, not surprisingly at this point, it was a lot. For example, very painfully, we needed to grind up more jungle wood and sea lanterns. I really don't want to think about my lifetime hours spent grinding sea lanterns at this point. It sounds horrendous. We also needed 2 more shulkers of smithing tables, which for every stack of those, you need a stack of logs. Someone please, for the love of God, remind me to build a tree farm next episode. I don't know why I never did. We needed loads of sand and sandstone, which apparently is super expensive and very slow to collect in one block. We needed 4,000 per. Definitely the first time I've ever collected that in my entire life. We need endstone, wart blocks, nether warts, 3,000 snow, and you know, just a bunch of random items like a dragon head, a few ice blocks here and there, a cobweb, a singular carrot, apparently. I don't know where that's going, but it's on my list, so I got it. And then the final difficult item we had to collect, hopefully for the entire project, fingers crossed, was lapis blocks. Yes, again, the floating islands are going to have that same crystal design that we have on our roof underneath them. So we need way more than we had last time because there is 5 islands. So we need 3 shulkers of it, which honestly doesn't sound like that much when you put it like that. But then you remember it's lapis blocks, which actually means we need 27 shulkers or just under 50,000 lapis. Surely there was another blue block I could have used. Anyways, I went back to trading with villagers, but I very quickly realized it was taking me multiple Minecraft days just to get 1 stack of lapis blocks, which seemed terrible given the amount I needed. So I did some temporary, horrendous looking renovations, gave the cleric villagers some bread, and a couple days later I had twice the workforce. And then, yeah, that wasn't enough either. So I built this monstrosity over the edge of my island, gave out free bread until I had about 45-ish clerics. It was absolute chaos, had no idea what was going on in there. Even still, with that many villagers, when I was fully paying attention, trading with all of them as efficiently as I could, I was only getting a stack, maybe a stack and a half lapis blocks each Minecraft day. So it took a good 2 to 3 real life days to collect it all. In other unrelated news, I made it to episode 880 of One Piece. It's great. Oh, and I've also crossed 250,000 trades with villagers, and I'm back over level 300. Ridiculous. But it does mean we are good to start building again. So in the movie, some of the characters are walking along the ledge of the dome and they go through this magical hidden door. So we're going to build a couple classic 2x2 piston doors with a bunch of buttons around the outside of them so we can ever find it again on this giant dome. That leads into a narrow hallway followed by a magical elevator represented in Minecraft with a slime block piston flying machine. That drops us into a really weird, hard to explain, even harder to replicate in Minecraft, room. In the movie, these little box type things float around and they switch places as the characters descend on their magical floating elevator. And there's also pillars in the middle of the room, so I figured this would be a cool place for our enchantment table to go in the center, because it definitely matches the vibe and it gives the room an actual purpose to use for our base. Then that connects through another secret door, naturally, to a much bigger hallway with a bunch of pods, I guess you would call them, with iron golems inside. In the movie, the golems are deactivated, or sleeping, I suppose, in a hallway. Then they get activated, the pods open, and they all march off in a line together to go bake a cake. Our golems in Minecraft can't really be deactivated or stand still. They honestly spin in circles most of the time. So they kind of look like they're in prison, but it's definitely not supposed to be like that. The golems are our friends in the lore of the movie, I promise. Next, that connects to a big old crystal room, which is very overgrown. Roots from the big tree have gotten in, and there's tall grass everywhere, or in Minecraft, we're going to use wheat. There's also a podium that the characters read some ancient text from, and then there's also a big old crystal in the center, which powers the entire castle and is what makes it fly. Just nobody touch it because it will blow up the entire room. Then the final room we're building is the throne room, which is just a huge open room, continuing the dark blocks aesthetic from the hallway with a few line details on the walls. And the main feature is a few giant stone golems, I think. The golem design looks a little different in the movie, but I think they're golems. They're all sitting on thrones, which I definitely struggled recreating in Minecraft, I'll be honest. Particularly trying to keep it to the same scale, but that's my best effort. They're definitely a little derpy looking, but that's fun. Okay, so our stonemasons do need a new home as well. No idea how I forgot about them either, because I've traded so many quartz at this point, it's actually crazy. I also haven't designed anything in my creative test world since, but I have been thinking about it for the last few days, so I have a general idea, just no idea if it'll work. I'm thinking a messy stone, tough, and mossy cobble floor. Yeah, alright. It's a bit random, but it's kind of what I was going for, to be fair. Now for the walls, I'm thinking blackstone. Okay, this might be super tall. I don't actually know if I even have this much blackstone. I guess we'll find out. I'm gonna blend some cracked blackstone as well, just so it's not the same block all the way up. Yeah, okay, that's pretty tall. It's also really dark. I didn't really think about the roof. Maybe we follow the same vibe as the roof. Just no lapis. No more lapis. I'm not farming more lapis. But we could use the smooth blackstone, the quartz, and the warp pretty well. We have plenty of that still. Yeah, okay, I don't mind the roof design. It is just really dark up there, though. I'm thinking copper pipes. I don't know what the style is, but I've seen a bunch of people use copper on the side of buildings, like the external side of buildings, for like piping. I feel like we could make the inside of this look kind of industrial and then use the copper bulbs I have from absolutely demolishing all those trowel chambers as our lighting. Just for something different, because I have so many of them and I am sick of using sea lanterns. Okay, I like it a lot. I don't think it makes sense for them to be pipes anymore, but whatever industrial excuse you want to make for this to make sense, I'm down. The only thing is, I don't think the green matches anymore. I reckon we're going to change that to be copper. Okay, I do like it, but I'm a little worried it's too much. I don't know. I think it's okay. I do really love the pipes though. This is a lighting trick, is really sick. Now we just have to try and fit like a lot of stone cutters in here. Oh, there's like 30 in here. I forgot I bred so many. You know what? Maybe we don't move them all. Maybe we move like 20 upstairs and we leave like the original 10 down here. Yeah, I don't know if it's random. I feel like it kind of matches the theme of stone cutters to have a big old furnace. I messed around with it for like half an hour. It was definitely looking very scuffed mid-process, but I think it looks fine now. So yeah, I think that's going to be our finished interior for our stone cutters. It's definitely more open than the others. Like there's no desks and beds set up. Just, you know, the chests and the blocks we trade with. Mostly because there's going to be 20 villagers in here, so I want there to be plenty of room for them to move around and us to trade with them. Which means we have one final interior left. The whole build, and we're putting it in that building right there. It's going to have an indoor garden forest type thing. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it, but I'll just build it and then we'll see it. See what I mean? Indoor garden forest type thing. It's super dense, big vibes in here. It's supposed to loosely represent, or is at least inspired by, that giant indoor garden they followed the golem through in the movie with that magically see-through roof. You can't really do that in Minecraft. I mean, I know glass exists, but it's only see-through from the inside, and then it would look really jank from the outside. But yeah, I like it in here. We even got a balcony that'll overlook the mega tree in the center of the garden, once obviously I build it. Currently it's a giant hole. But before we build that, we have one final project to build, mostly because I want that mega tree to be last, which is our outer floating islands. In the movie, for like 3 seconds, it shows a flashback to some other much smaller flying like villages, fortresses, some with farmland as well. we're going to build our own versions of that flying around the outside of the castle. We have all the materials already, which is where the absurd amount of lapis comes in. And we're going to start by rebuilding the end city in the overworld. It's entirely to scale. It'll be a smaller one because it's representing one of the smaller fortresses they very briefly show in the movie. Plus, they already have a flying ship, so I feel like the lore there makes sense, crosses over. This one, I'll be honest, entirely for aesthetics. It's not going to have a real function or use other than it'll look cool. Speaking of, our next island is our custom desert. It has a 2-scale accurate pyramid in the middle, minus the D&D trap underneath. Instead, underneath it, it'll have a giant, very expensive crystal design, and then around the outside, it'll have a wholesome little custom village, all with very detailed, extensive interiors, as you could imagine. I'm also going to cut up some villages as well to, well, abandon them. They did already prove themselves last episode as being super trustworthy to leave on floating islands, so I'm sure there'll be absolutely no problems. Next, we're going to build a pillager outpost right next to our little wholesome village. This one is mostly because I just think it looks cool, but also the One Block frequently gives us pillagers that try to attack me constantly. So I figured if I captured a bunch, let them break all of their weapons by trying to attack me, that'll pacify them and I can move them up here to live in their own little village by themselves. Speaking of villages, I've got one more in me. This one, also wholesome. It's a winter village completely covered in snow. There's a couple of igloos, a struggling crop farm, some custom trees, and we'll populate this one with a few villages as well. Unfortunately, you can't get the different biome villages in this One Block map because, again, it's technically all plains biome. So we can't get the cute snowy or deserty villages, just the average looking Joes. There's no way. Did he just instantly jump off? And I've already lost a cartographer, 2 wandering traders, and an Arctic fox. Things are not going great. And our final island is entirely for aesthetics. I just wanted to build it and it didn't make any real sense on the main castle. So it gets its own island. It's just a big custom nether tree I designed, which kind of looks like it's infecting the land around it with the blackstone seeping into the warts. Yeah, I don't know, it's a bit random, but I like it. Now for our inner garden, I had a general idea for this, but we're switching it up a little bit. In the movie, it's very flat, like completely flat in here, and it's surrounded by dense trees around the outside. In Minecraft though, completely flat doesn't look great, so we're going to give it a few extra levels, and it's also going to have our custom trees with the overgrown moss piling up everywhere look that we have in our outer garden, which helps gives it that dense forest type vibe that they have in the movie. They also don't show you everything in here in the movie, which is where our custom areas have come in, like the giant arches that you see through into the underwater city. We're going to continue our water features, I guess you would call them, that come from that water city in different areas. On this side, we've got a big old waterfall running down from the upper level garden that leads to a cute fish pond next to our main entrance. Wait, pause everything I was saying. We're about to hit day 3000. So if we chuck a quick little schlep, that is sunrise on day 3000. We started this at about day 800, which means quick little snack break of our 1000 day cake. Scrumptious. It has been sat out here quite a while. All right, back to building. Actually, I'm thinking we run this water source through this pond and then underground from this side here, because over this side of the garden, we have another river system, a little canal thing that's at the front of our mason and our fishman interiors. That way it kind of explains where this water comes from, because currently it's that corner of stone, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But if you run that underground, connect that, and then that runs through to our farmland with our crops in the canal out that side of the building. That way there's like slightly more logic as to where all the water comes from. Okay, that is our inner garden, minus the giant gap in the center where the mega tree is going. but I want that to truly be our last project. So I just spent, let's just say a really long time moving all our villagers upstairs to their new homes. Now that the place is fully sealed, it should hopefully be spawn proof, so they should be fine to live their best lives, populating and giving life to the place. Moving them went great, no lives were lost, no tragedies or even difficulties were had at all. I don't know which one that was, but I guarantee you I needed that guy's books. Pain. How is he using the table like that? I'm not mad, I just didn't think they'd ever use it. Meanwhile, you have this guy. Classic. Yep, well that's about exactly what I expected them to do. Somehow we got all of them out of here and we shoved them all into that corner. Look at them all. I put one bed down and they're all like, oh my god, yes, sleep. We haven't slept in years. Years, I say. At least now I can destroy this monstrosity. Yeah, no, I feel like I might have created a bit of a problem here. Yeah, I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to get out of here without taking like half of them with me. I've decided I'm claiming this pillager raiding party as well for our island. I'm just pretty sure they have full crossbows because this has taken quite a while. Oh yeah, I should get you guys name tags so you don't despawn. Oh, I forgot I was wearing my chest plate. Turns out we can survive the drop from our roof after I take my chest plate off. That's crazy. That's really high up. Oh yeah, cool. Oh, what a banner guard. Literally the only one I didn't get up here was the banner guard. I'm actually mad. I also took the time to add a staircase to one of the center pillars so you can fully explore the place on foot if you want to. I also found that pig from the end of last episode who got himself stuck in said pillar while I was building it back in July. This pig is just going to be stuck in here now. The pig just lives in this tower. I'm going to build a home for this pig in this tower. I've decided we're naming him Harry Plopper, and this is his bedroom. It is finally happening. We have reached the final part of the final stage. We're building the mega tree in the center of our castle in the sky. I'm seriously not exaggerating when I say this project has taken over 2,000 hours to design, build in One Block Minecraft, and then edit the entire video together, all by myself. So if you did enjoy this insane project, it would be pretty cool if you guys did subscribe. If you guys go crazy, I can rationalize going equally crazy on future projects. I have a bunch in mind already. If you want to watch them live, you can check out my Twitch. It's just Kody McHugh. And while you're waiting for the next upload, I have 2 other YouTube channels, one for Borderlands and soon to be GTA 6, and one for variety challenges from beating games without taking damage to drawing every day for 100 days. There's also a free world download in my Discord if you guys would like to explore Castle in the Sky for yourselves. The link is down below. Other than that, have a fantastic day. Adios.